So let us move on to the next point now, which is to look at how to use the useParams hook that React Router gives us. To discuss that, let us modify the users component to show three links like this over here: user1, user2, and user3. And clicking on user1 should change the URL to /users/1, and the user component should be loaded for user1. So we'll have to create a new component for user, and we'll have to load that component and show user one's details over there. Similarly, if the link for user2 is clicked, we need to change the URL to /user/2, and we need to load the user component for user2. And if the link for user3 is clicked, we need to change the URL to /user/3, and we need to load the user component for user3. So I'm going to add a new file called user.js, and that's going to be a function component, and it has to return some JSX. So I've written the return statement, and let me specify a root div. And for the text, let's write this page belongs to user. Let's add question marks because we need to add code that determines which user's content we are showing. We'll be adding that in a couple of minutes. So first, let us export this component, export default user, and in app.js, let us import user. And within our switch statement, we have to add a new route where we specify the path that corresponds to the user component. So let's write route path equals, and in the wireframe, I mentioned that we want our URL to look like this. It should include /users/1, where 1 is the ID of the user, and for user2 it should be /user/2, and for user3 it should be /user/3. So our path should be /users followed by :user ID, and when the path matches this, we want the user component to be rendered. This path over here, /users/:user ID, this will match the path /user/1, /user/2, and /user/3. And in each of these cases, 1, 2, and 3 will be assigned to this user ID that we have specified using a colon over here. And so in user.js, we can get hold of that user ID using the useParams hook that React Router DOM gives us. So let's do that. So I'm going to type const, and I'm going to use destructuring over here, user ID equals useParams, which is a hook that React Router DOM gives us. That means it's a function, and so we're going to call that function. And to use that function, we have to import it. So let's import useParams from React Router DOM. So using this statement over here, we are getting hold of the user ID that was specified in this route over here. So once we get a hold of the user ID, we can use that within our JSX over here. So let's do that. So I'm going to remove these question marks, and I'm going to specify the curly braces to signify interpolation, and I'm going to specify user ID within curly braces like this. And in users.js, we need to add links to the three users now. So I'm going to specify link to /user/1, and the text will be user1. Let's add a couple of break tags, and let's do the same for users 2 and 3 as well. So I'm going to change this to 2, and similarly I'm going to change this to 3. And to use the link component, we need to import it from React Router. So let's do that. So let's write import link from React Router DOM. So we have added 3 links over here, and the path is /user/1, /user/2, and /user/3 respectively. And within app.js, we have specified a route so that those URLs match this path over here, /user/:user ID. And when that matches, we have specified that we want to show the user component. And in the user component, what we are doing is we are using a hook that React Router DOM gives us. That means we are using a function that React Router DOM gives us called useParams. And this useParams function grabs a hold of the params within the route over here, which is :user ID, and it returns that as its return value. And we take the return value, and using destructuring, we get a hold of the user ID within it. And once we do that, we get either 1 or 2 or 3 within user ID. So we can use that within our JSX now. So let's take a look at the output now. So if we go to the users link, we can see that there are 3 links now to user 1, 2 and 3 respectively. So let's click on user 1 and we can see that the URL has changed to /user/1, but the component that is being rendered is still users. And that is because if you look at these two routes over here, the route with the path /users is on top and the route with the path /user/user ID is below it. And we discussed earlier that when matching happens, the route, the first path that matches will become the result of the switch component. So if we have /users before /user/user ID, /users will always match this path also. So we can do one of two things here. We can either specify exact over here for /users, or we can take this route and place it before the /users route. So I have done both those steps here. Either one would have been sufficient, but I'm going to leave it as it is now. Let's check the output now. So I'm going to click on users now and we can see the content for users component here. I'm going to click on user 1 now and you can see that the URL has changed to /user/1 and we can see the content for user 1 over here. Let's click on users link again and go to user 2 now. You can see that the URL has changed to /user/2 and we are also seeing the content for user 2. Let's go back to users again and click on user 3 and we can see that the URL has changed to /user/3 and we are seeing the content for user 3. Also observe that for the path /user/3 we are seeing that the active link is users, and that is because within our nav link over here we have specified that we want our active class name which is selected to be applied to /users. /user/3 matches /users, so the active class is being applied to the nav link users.